Hi, my name is Mark Polton. I'm a buy and hold real estate investor in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina area. The title of this video says it all. It could happen no other way. It could be no other way. So, I owed some money to the South Carolina Department of Revenue because their tax preparer and even I was under the false notion that South Carolina recognized out-of-state losses. I live in South Carolina, my business is in North Carolina, and they don't. And what's strange is I ended up getting audited for my 2016 tax return, which I didn't. I turned it in 2018. Very expensive. That's fine. I did it wrong. They were very nice. And so obviously we had to refile 2017. We were just about to file 2018, and we didn't do that because, well, we prepared it wrong. Not going to be a problem in the future. End up paying about $10,000 for the penalties. It was quite a bit. But I got a letter from them saying that they were going to send me to collections. It's going to be a 20% fee and all this other stuff. And so I called them up and be like, hey, listen, just give me 30 days. I'll work something out with my bank. Got some checks from them. Mailed them, along with mailing some checks to the in North Carolina, Mecklenburg County for the Charlotte area, to the tax collector there, because I owed them $20,000 or something like that. Like 3 weeks later, neither one of them has arrived. So I've got to make things happen. So I actually go to the local Department of Revenue down near me. It's about 25 minutes away from me. They're like 8:30 in the morning. And I pay it. And I tell them, I'm like, you guys will not cash anything else you get for this particular account. And he's like, oh, no, we're not going to do that. We'll just send them back or something like that. Well, I wake up today because we bounced a $22,000 check, and because we had insufficient funds, because the South Carolina Department of Revenue cashed both sets of checks. And I'm like, it can go no other way. I mean, and I'm not blaming them. I actually could have looked into this account probably as much as a week ago or maybe 6 days ago and seen that the original checks that I sent were cashed. I just kind of trusted that, government actually knew what they were doing. It's a comedy, but I just have so much other things on my mind that I didn't do it. It's not their fault. It's my fault. I'm not blaming them. It really kind of screws up the plan as I had. Financially speaking, we're gonna have to come up with a new plan to compensate for the lack of available funds that we're going to have in the very, very near future. But that money cost me at 3% because it was going on to a zero interest credit card. I just needed to get it. Dealing with the government, it's just easier to get it off there, put it someplace else. But I've been dealing with this tax foreclosure as well, which is another set of checks, which probably means the county probably got those. They'll probably end up cashing them as well. So, that'll screw me even more on the tune of another $18,000, $19,000. So, lucky me, right? But, one thing I learned is don't go to a post office in the hood to mail out payments. That's basically what happened to me. And I happen to be by there, working on a home. I'm like, hey, there's a post office here. Never had a problem with the Charlotte Postal Service. When I mail out something for county taxes, it's like within 4 days it's already cleared my bank, which means they got it the next day, or the day after at the latest, scanned it in, bam, done. And I kept calling them up and saying, listen, I need you guys to do this because, obviously I'm in tax foreclosure. Big, huge pain in the butt. And they're like, well, we didn't get it. I'm like, I've never had this problem before. I mailed out the day before another set that you had already cashed. What's up with these? Oh, well, we didn't get it. Yada, yada, yada. But, I firmly believe that God has a plan. It's often, and in this case, it's not the way that I thought it would be. But, that's not really up to me. So, but the way that I do business, the way that I do homes and stuff like that, very few other people that I've met buy homes or find homes and do their business the way I do. And honestly, I watch these guys like Meet Kevin on YouTube and Graham Stevens or whatever. You know, they do things completely different than I do. And, you know, probably doing it wrong. I mean, I don't know. I think my way is pretty safe. You know, we buy these homes super duper uber cheap. But, you know, the city knows about the problems on them, and we have code enforcement problems. But in the end, I can usually get into these things so darn inexpensive. Well, maybe not. When it's all said and done, I mean, the ROI, the cap rate is fantastic. You know, even if I'm into a home for $65,000 and it rents for $1,000 a month, I mean, you can't find that anywhere. So that'd be like a $45,000 purchase price, $20,000 rehab, which is a lot for us. We don't usually have that much in rehabs. You know, I try to keep them under 10 or 12. It's most of that has to do with things like HVAC and maybe a roof. But, you know, for the most part, we can rehab these homes pretty cheap. I mean, they're not that big, three bedroom, 1 bath, 1,000 square foot. You know, but I watched this guy Meet Kevin. I watched him today. He's looking at an Airbnb on stilts, thinking, you know, talking about, looks like it might be falling down a hill for $800,000 or something along that line. And I'm like, well, good for you. You know, I could probably go out and buy an $800,000 house, you know, Airbnb, and I'll make twice as much renting it through Airbnb as not. But, you know, one of the podcasts I listened to, and it's probably like a Bigger Pockets of some bozos, the guest basically said, you know, act as if the market's going to crash tomorrow. And until we're in a position of financial freedom, that's the way I run my business. I assume that there's going to be an economic collapse tomorrow, that my wife or I are going to lose our W-2 job, and we're about to be stretched super thin. But we have, and I was telling her, we have 4 units and 3 properties right now that are empty that have to be rehabbed. And we're actively rehabbing, you know, the duplex, which is 2 units, this other unit. We're about to bring on a 4th home, making 5 units empty. You know, there's the potential of $50,000-$60,000 a year right there once they're done. And we just got to get through this. And those are game-changing numbers because our business cash flows as it is, you know, even holding that. Now that may change here shortly because of the fiasco that we're dealing with government, but you know, it can go no other way. Anyways, these are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments section below. I'm interested to see, you know, do you have the same experience, or, you know, are you a really hands-off guy that just gets a loan from, you know, 401k or, you know, the Bank of America? You buy a property and you're pretty hands-off from there. All right? I wish you success.